Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode. Today I will be talking about odd things in Australia, and it will be definitely an interesting episode. We will talk about different things like the people in Australia, public transport, bars, pubs and cafes, hours and life in general and everything in between, also deadly animals and deadly sunburns. So let's get started. What was one of the first impressions I had when I came to Sydney? Well, it was in the middle of summer, and if you're below the equator like the Australian continent, it's the opposite climate compared to the northern hemisphere, like Europe. So I came in summer, and when it's sunny, then you always see people in every park, regardless, take off their shirts in Sydney and just sunbathe. Why is that surprising? Well, it's surprising because coming from Germany, Germans are obsessed with sun because the country doesn't give too much sun except for summer. It is usually a very cloudy country and can be cold in autumn and spring and winter. So at every chance, people in Germany, they see the sun somewhere, they will just go and sunbathe. More doable in summer when it's hot, of course. But they will just sit in the sun. You know, sometimes you can see like a small section of sun in the city. Then you see people cramped up in that mini spot. And that's exactly how much we're craving sun in Germany. So, but coming to Australia, it's a sunny country, you know. Like I found it quite odd, strange, weird. But I also understand Sydney and Australians are laid back and cool vibes. So, like, it's just an interesting observation. So talking about sun and stripping naked, people have fit bodies in Sydney especially. People are very muscular, big, and that being, a friend told me they have the most gyms globally in the city. So and then you see a lot of people that will remind you of Hollywood or LA. You know, people are trying to show off also. It's part of the lifestyle. And, definitely. If you're looking for hot and sexy, people come to Australia. Sorry. And, and what else, staying at the beaches topic. I've seen many people that were turning red like a lobster, like Mr. Krabs, the crab from SpongeBob, maybe. And man, I was worried, you know, like I wanted to run there and tell them, oh man, what the hell are you doing here? Go home. But people, I don't know, they are not really giving a shit. So I don't know what it is, if they were just drunk or if they will turn back normal skin color at night. Well, I don't turn back easily when I'm red. But that's that, and it's worrying because Australia is known to have a hole in the ozone layer. The ozone layer is something that protects us Earthlings from sun radiation, you know? Usually, if you're in Germany or Turkey, it will be much less than when you're in Australia because there's a hole in it. And that being said, it takes less time to give you a sunburn. It takes less time. And therefore, always please use your sun lotion and protection. Also, if you're in the shade, sun radiation will get you. Don't think just because you're in the shade, the sunlight doesn't get you somehow. It does. So be mindful and remind yourself of the facts I've just given you. I did the mistake twice. I neglected sun lotion because I don't like these chemicals. I'm not too fond of them. But I got sunburned twice in 2 months, once in Sydney and once in Melbourne. In Sydney I got sunburned during the day when I met a friend for a meetup in Bondi Beach. Bondi Beach is the iconic beach in Sydney, probably Australia's most famous beach. I thought we were gonna chill at the beach, so I went with flip-flops. Turns out we were gonna do the Bondi to Kogi walk, which takes 1.5 or 2 hours. So it was already insane and odd enough that it did it in sandals, but I've decided to be in shorts and take off my shirt sometimes. And Sydney's weather is not 24/7 sunshine, as I always thought it'd be before going. There is sometimes some clouds and that come and go, like it's also changing. But that's that. So I got sunburned there. And then later, another time I flew by plane, I think it's 1.5 or 2 hours to Melbourne. It's in the south, and Melbourne's weather is more changing than Sydney's, but it's also more known for colder climate. But during the time when I went, it was quite hot, so I decided to get a very short haircut. I made it zero, kinda. And guess what? Like, I got sunburned on my head. Yeah. So don't do that mistake, and be mindful. Okay, other things I've seen. Let's stay with the topic of beaches and sunshine. If you're in Sydney, that's very, it's amazing. It's funny to watch also. Like, at some train stations or bus stops, people just jump in with their, swimwear, swim shorts, bikinis. Like, you see many, good-looking people on the buses and trains, and they're just coming from the beach. I haven't seen a place like this before. Maybe I need to travel more to sunny countries, I suppose. Or you tell me. You can always, by the way, I think you can comment on these episodes. Spotify has a function. I saw there's a Q&A function. But anyway, so that's also interesting and odd to see. What else? Let's stay with the topic of public transport. There is in public and also on public transport sometimes many crazy people. Well, what do I mean by that? So I was on a sunny day walking with shorts in Sydney, and a guy on a bicycle who was passing by very fastly, he hit me with a wooden whip on my leg, and he just took off, before I could say anything. So I don't know why, I don't know what his problem was, but man, there's insane people. I've never had someone do this to me in my life, and it happened in 1 month in Sydney. Otherwise, I also see sometimes people where I don't know if they're homeless or just crazy on the street, people yelling weird nonsense or telling you some weird comments. I don't know, man, but if you're out on your own, yeah, it's fine, just be aware where you're walking and don't walk maybe in sketchy places or shady places at night. But if you're with family or kids, be aware. Okay, and given the distances, maybe you should take a taxi sometimes. But taking the bus in Sydney was quite safe actually compared to Perth, which is on the other side of the continent. Perth is in Western Australia. Some people jokingly refer to Perth and area and Western Australia as the Wild West. Man, I have seen insane people on the bus. But usually by bus, also odd, it takes me from A to B 1 or 1.5 hours in Perth. Whereas if I take a taxi, it's 20 minutes. You see the flaw in the public transport system. But when I took the bus, I used to sit in the back, and I sit in the back because the doors make noise when people get in, and the back is more silent. But also because the seating is more high and elevated, so it has better view to offer from back there. But I don't know, I started regretting it in Perth actually, because sometimes once a woman came to the bus, also sat in the back, and then she started screaming or yelling moderately every 1 minute, I don't know, she was on something. I don't know what she was on, but she was on something. And everyone in the bus heard it. No one did a thing about it. I understand. We all just want to live our life and not get in trouble. But man, I don't know if that's not causing internal friction and stress for people in a city like this. But also it was odd. The same bus, couple kids entered, and then they started arguing with each other and were kicking each other. The bus driver didn't do a shit again. And in some other instances, it was also in Perth, by the way. Once there was a guy who had a ticket, but it was the wrong ticket supposedly. So he started arguing 5 or 10 minutes with the bus driver. Then a police officer came. He also gave around 5 minutes or something and listened to it and started talking. Eventually the guy didn't want to leave. It was just the bus driver, that guy, the police officer, and me. I was already sitting. Man, the police was very very patient. There's countries where the police will not hesitate, but those Australian officers, man, they were patient, and like the bus driver also. But like after enough time passed, then like another police came and they wanted him to leave. He wouldn't leave. Then I think like at the end it was 4 or 5 police officers coming into the bus and taking him off. Man, that's also odd. Like, you're super patient on the one hand, but then you come with 4 or 5 people to take one person out. I found it very weird and strange. But be assured, you can take the train, I think, quite normally in Perth. I haven't seen as many crazy people on the trains in Perth than I've seen on buses. And I've also taken many buses in Sydney, and they were quite normal, with normal passengers on it. So maybe it's regional Australia, I don't know. But I told you the example of the guy with the wooden stick in Sydney. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's something definitely going on with some people. Okay, so that apart, let's talk about social life, where we're staying with the people's topic. I expected more of a social life or pub scene or bar scene in Sydney when I went. But strangely, let's start with the cafes. Most of them close at 3 p.m, some at 4 or 5, and even some Starbucks close early. And then like some bars or pubs would close early too in Sydney. And that's very odd. I think it's some remnants maybe from some legacy laws that were supposed to protect the people, because there were some disturbances in the past in some areas in Sydney. But there's also a pub and bar area with clubs next to it. It's like, I don't know what the area is called. It's close to the Harbour Bridge in Sydney, and an old town or old area where people started building the city basically. But like, while you can go there and at least say, hey, like, I went to some bars and clubs in Sydney, yeah, it doesn't go beyond that in my opinion. It's like, I don't know, it's just okay, like, if you really want to live bars and pubs, go to Dublin, Ireland, where I stayed a year. I've never seen a place that had more of pubs, like in every corner. I'd call Dublin the capital of pubs, but that's that. Maybe it's part of the lifestyle in Australia. I've learned that people usually wake up very early. I know some people wake up at 5 or 6 and go for a run, and then they will go to bed at 10:30 or something, whereas I'm someone who would go past midnight to bed. Yeah, like, it's just different vibes, I suppose. Then also sticking with social life, I tried to socialize and meet local Australians, and I had instances where I was successful. But sometimes, like, people were telling me, hey man, let's meet on the weekend. And they're telling me when it's Sunday or Monday, it's like 5-6 days to the next weekend, man. Like, I usually try not to plan my free time too much that far. I'm very spontaneous. So I don't know if it was the distance, but it will not take them more than 30-45 minutes. And Australia is a big continent, you would expect people to be used to those distances. I don't know if it's just laziness. Maybe they're so laid back that they become lazy eventually. Hey, like, I'm not trying to talk Australians down here. I highlighted the many positive things about Australia also already, not in this episode only, but before. But it's just different vibes, and it's interesting to see. That can be a challenge if your inner clock or spontaneity is working differently. Yeah. Okay, let's switch from the people's topic to wild animals. Like, before I came to Australia, many people were, oh, you going to Australia? I also want to go there, but I'm afraid of the animals and da da da. And some people were saying like, yeah, they heard how snakes come through the toilet water. Man, if you like imagine this, I bet no one would leave their house. And in 2 months in Sydney, or like not in Sydney, in 2 months, Like I was in Sydney, Melbourne, Perth. Like I haven't seen a super big spider. I haven't seen a super big snake. And I've never heard any Australian confirm that they saw a snake in the toilet. What you should be aware of, and that's only usually when you live outside of the city, don't leave your shoes outside. Take them inside and put them against the wall or something, so some insects don't go in it, you know? That you can prepare for. But like otherwise, yeah, like also expect cockroaches. There's a lot in Sydney. I don't know why, but there's many of them. And yeah, like expect that, but not somehow snakes coming through the toilet water trying to bite your ass. All right, these were interesting topics already. Let's see what else we got. I took down some notes. Well, it's very interesting also to think about the topic of the different ethnicities living in Australia. So when I went to Sydney, man, I felt like I'm in a cosmopolitan hotpot. I don't know, maybe like Manhattan. It was full of different nationalities. Asians. Asia is a big area and region, but let's say like Koreans, Japanese, Chinese, Indians, Germans, French, but especially Sydney Centre or Melbourne Centre were full of more like, I think, Chinese, correct me if I'm wrong, or like others like Japanese and Korean. I'm judging by the restaurants I saw. And someone I talked with about this said like, yeah, usually it's like these people are more used to live in like collective high dense areas, and this is why they also like prefer to be central, close to the CBDs, which stands for Central Business District, where all the big tall high-rise buildings are and corporate offices, etc., etc. And yeah, like I think it's true, because like there's also many like Indians in Australia, or Pakistanis, or Bangladeshis. I'm not trying to pinpoint at one nationality only here, but I didn't see too many of them in the center. Usually they have their districts more outside. I'm talking about Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth, you know. And Perth Central was definitely also less busy with Asians compared to Melbourne or Sydney. I don't know why that is, but Perth is also a special and weird distant place. I'm not saying Perth is bad, no, like otherwise I wouldn't have stayed a month. But yeah, like there's some things that need more exploration. So, what about the food? I don't think the food is weird. It's pretty much British UK forward for me. It's a lot of junk and fast food, high calories. I mean, it's very tasty, don't get me wrong. I just get addicted to this kind of fast food sometimes, and then I hate myself for some time, because then I try to stay away again. Yeah, like, and then otherwise there's a lot of Asian food options, especially in regions like Chinatown in the city, which is good. Sometimes they would not like really have English letters with it, so I think you just have to ask what it is that you're looking at. But it's good. It's also very fried and fast food like, and if you want to have more healthy options, and salads are expensive if you go out eating. Australia is very expensive. Maybe you should just go to the supermarket and prepare something yourself. All right, guys, like anything else odd I can think of? Well, I don't know, like maybe one thing, like there's a lot of people and in Australia and also on dating apps, but I think it's not buzzing too much, but like that can be also a topic for another time. So I don't want to scratch that too much, because I have many more ideas for the episodes to come, and you can be excited, you can be looking forward to the next episode, and I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Stay tuned for more, and see you next time.